I'm on a journey to become the best cook that I can be. Now, part of that journey means I get to learn from chefs and pitmasters who are the best of the best. And part of that journey means I need to learn through my mistakes. And good news, when I tried to cook the turkeys and pork ribs from Bar-A-BBQ, made some mistakes, some good opportunities to learn. So today, I hope, is redemption day. I'm gonna take another stab. I think I know what I did wrong. You guys contributed a bunch of ideas. I talked to Cooper down at Bar-A, I got some ideas, and I think that I know what it's gonna take for me to produce that turkey breast and the Bar-A-BBQ quality pork rib. Let's jump right in. So if you haven't seen those videos, don't worry, I'll put links to all of them in the description so you can watch those after you're done watching this. But when I set up the fire for the ribs and turkey, we'd just done an all-night cold smoke of those beef ribs, which, by the way, I nailed. And so we had a lot of smoke going on, and then I continued to build the fire using that method that Cooper showed us, designed to get more smoke than heat. If you remember, on the bottom, right up against the coals, I stacked east to west to block the airflow, so the splits were going side to side, and then on top of those, I put those north to south splits, right, so that as the fire combusted, they would come in. But that's gonna limit airflow, it's gonna create dirty smoke, a lot of smoke, probably a little bit drier. And so today I built the fire that you see behind me a little bit differently. I still started with a bed of coals, but then I built the fire built for heat. So I put the first two splits on either side of the coals going north and south, front to back. And then I stacked 4 splits on top, going side to side as close together as I could so that no air's coming up between them. So air comes in between those two north to south splits so the coals can ignite, giving us the heat, but still have the ability to have plenty of airflow so that we can clean it up and maybe have a little bit better quality of smoke on the ribs and on the turkey. So while the smoker comes up to 250 degrees and that smoke cleans up a little bit, let's go ahead and get these trimmed. Now I've got the same quality pork ribs that we started with last time. I don't think I did a bad job on the pork ribs. I think they were good. They just weren't Bar-A's. So I'm gonna do the same trim job that I did last time. Just gonna take off all this extra fat from the back, which will expose the chine bone and let me remove the chine bone here. And then we'll pull the diaphragm off here. All right, and pull off the last 2 ribs. And now we're just gonna round this out and square it up. All right, I think that is a solid enough trim. So Bar-A uses a really simple seasoning profile for their ribs. It's a traditional Texas blend. Now my second lesson here is I don't think I got enough flavor on these the first time. So I'm gonna go a little bit heavier on the rub. Thank you to Goldie's and Bar-A. We now know that we no longer have to remove membranes from ribs, so I'm not gonna bother doing that. And then Bar-A uses Diamond Crystal Kosher Salt, not the Morton's that I usually use. So it might have been a little light on this, so we do again the same thing, nice dusting of Diamond Crystal. All right, let's take a look at the presentation side. We're gonna do the same thing here. All right, let's go throw these on the smoker. So I'm gonna put these ribs down here on the stack side. So you remember how they lie, they cook. So we're gonna bunch them up a little bit here. Just thicken up the meat. So once it firms up, we got nice meaty ribs. All right, let's go start working on that turkey. The next lesson, and probably an important one, and I kind of knew it when I was cooking, was use quality meat. Now we all know that. Like if you've been here on the show before, you know I try to only use quality meat, but I got what I could get. And honestly, that turkey breast, well, it was small and it wasn't of the same kind of quality. So I sourced 2 giant, similar size, maybe even bigger, high quality turkey breasts from Restaurant Depot, where restaurants buy a lot of their food. And hopefully I'm working with something similar to the quality that Cooper had. Now, in addition to the quality of the meat, the additional lesson, and a whole bunch of you chimed in and said, hey, you should brine the turkey. And one of you even said, hey, you know, Al, the turkey breasts that restaurants buy are pre-brined. They come that way. So I reached out to Cooper and he said, yeah, it comes in a 15% solution. And how do I not know that you have to brine poultry in order to make it juicy? I did what he showed me. He didn't show me brining. I didn't even think about the fact that he buys pre-brined turkey breasts. So these are the same thing. 15% solution. They've been brining. They should be able to hold a lot more moisture and a lot more flavor than what we had. Now, why do I have 2 of these? Because there's another variable we're gonna test later that I hope doesn't end up being true, but we'll see. It might end up being true. But instead of doing 1 like we did the pork ribs, we're gonna be doing 2 of these turkey breasts. So The way that we season these is the same way we seasoned them before, except of course now they've got salt from that brine. I'm gonna start with a layer of 16 mesh ground pepper. And by the way, these are the actual seasonings that they use, this Fiesta brand 16 mesh. I'll put links to these in the description so you can use exactly what Bar-A uses. You can also grind your own if you have a pepper cannon or a strong arm and a regular pepper grinder. And the second layer is the Season It All from Fiesta. Again, same thing that they use at Bar-A-BBQ. To make sure we get the sides thoroughly. All right, so when these go on the smoker, they're gonna be rolled up like this. And I'm gonna use meter probes to track these cooks. So I'm gonna put probe number 1 in this turkey breast, right into the thickest part. And I'll put probe number 2 into this one. All right, you guys ready for your big day on the smoker? All right, I'll meet you at the grill. So number 1, we're gonna put right here. And again, we're gonna bunch it up just like Cooper did. And number 2 is gonna go right here next to it, also bunched up. All right, so setting up the cooks, it's poultry, it's turkey, it's a breast. Now, I'm gonna do something that's a little controversial here. I'm gonna set this to 150 degrees. Let me tell you why. Let's talk food safety with poultry. So everybody says that the USDA says you have to cook your turkey to 165 degrees Fahrenheit in order to kill salmonella and the other bacteria. And that's kind of true. It's not really true. And I looked closer when I realized that that turkey felt like it was overcooked when it was dry. And a couple of you commented on that. And I talked to Cooper, who said, look, he cooks to food safe temperatures. Make sure you're at food safe temperatures. And I started to dig into what food safe temperatures mean. And you know what? It turns out the temperature isn't the only variable. Time is also a variable. I mean, 165 degrees for 0 seconds is just fine if you're cooking something at home, you're taking it out of the oven, letting it rest for a minute or two and getting it on the table. Absolutely cook to 165. But if you're barbecuing and you're gonna hold and rest as part of your strategy, you really don't have to do that. Let me show you why. So, according to the Food Safety and Inspection Service of the USDA, at 165 degrees Fahrenheit, salmonella dies instantly in 0 seconds. But what happens if you cook to a lower temperature than that, internal temperature, not surface temperature, but what if you cook to an internal temperature that's less than 165? Let's take a look at the FSIS's actual data. So the blue box that's on your screen right now shows you the actual range of temperatures that are okay to cook an internal temperature to as long as you're holding for a period of time. So at 165, you'll see over on the right-hand side that it's 0 seconds at any of the different levels of fat content that the salmonella is killed. And we call this lethality. It's not lethal to you, it's lethal to the salmonella bacteria and the other bacteria. So this is the temperature and time required to kill it all off. But what if we look at the top of the box? We see 145 degrees. Like, who would cook turkey to 145 degrees? Not you, not me, at least not based on what we know. Everybody says that'll kill you, right? But if you look across the chart, you'll see that based on the fat content of the meat, a turkey that has only 1% fat, the salmonella still dies in 10.5 minutes. And if it has 12% fat, it dies in about 14 minutes. Well, if we cook to 150 degrees and we make sure that we hold it there for a period of time, and then we hold it in a warmer that's 150 degree warmer to make sure that the turkey temperature never drops, then if you look at the chart here, you're gonna see somewhere between 3.8 minutes and 4.9 minutes is how long it takes for the bacteria to be dead. Dead, lethal, dead, no bacteria, no more, safe to eat. I feel like that's a pretty good compromise, especially since we know that we're gonna be holding for an hour or more, that we know that we are creating a food safe product cooking to 150 degrees. Now, there are other variables in this guide, and I'm gonna put a link to the guide in the description so that you can see for yourself exactly what the USDA says you're supposed to do. One of the variables is called come up time. That's how long it takes for the food to get to temperature, really how long it's in the unsafe zone of between 50 degrees Fahrenheit and 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Turkey has to get past 130 within 6 hours, and achieve the rest of this chart in order to get that full lethality for the bacteria. Obviously, we're getting to 130 degrees faster than that, so that's not going to be a concern for us, but it does tell us why we don't cold smoke poultry and let it take 8 or 9 hours at 160 degrees. We're always cooking poultry hot. Okay, I'll get off my pedestal. I'm sure the trolls are still going to leave all kinds of comments about how, oh my God, I'm going to kill my family and my neighbors, but I don't usually trust the government, but the food science folks, I think I can get off my pedestal and we can trust them. So we're cooking these to 150 degrees. So let's get them cooked for a while. We'll come back and we'll check on them maybe hour and a half and see how they're doing. 2 hours in on the ribs and an hour and a half on the turkey breasts, and I think I'm happier with what I'm seeing here than I was last time. I think this smoke profile is producing a nice, much more even color that's starting to develop over here in the first couple hours. And boy, these turkey breasts look really nice. So I think we're in good shape. I'm gonna just keep letting these cook. We'll come back and peek again when the temperature of those turkey breasts gets closer to 150. We're 2.5 hours into the turkey cooking, and as you can see, we're about a half hour from done, which means it's time to talk about the garlic butter that we're gonna use in the wrap. So this is another one of those lessons that, well, this is the one that I told you that I'm hoping turns out not to be true. If it's true, and we learn and we do it. One of the differences between what Cooper did in his turkey and what I did in my video was I decided to get fancy. I'm bougie, I don't want to use the prepackaged ingredients. I tried to avoid the phase because I don't like the hydrogenated oils that are in there, and just figured I would make a garlic butter. But my turkey didn't turn out moist and juicy and as delicious as Cooper's, and so one of the variables might be phase. So the reason that we did 2 breasts is so that I can do one of them resting with phase and one of them resting with garlic butter, and we can see if that's really the difference. So I guess at this point, let's start making our garlic butter. So with that turkey breast being materially larger, I'm going to make a much larger batch of garlic butter. So I'm gonna use a whole pound of butter here. I'm just gonna throw my sticks of butter into my pot here. Then I'm gonna let this melt for a couple of minutes, just putting it on the firebox. Okay, so I've melted my butter now. I get lots of comments on the channel, by the way. Used to be about my hair, it's about smoke, it's about my cookers, it's about whatever. You guys were really obsessed with this. I got comments from, is nobody gonna comment on the whisk, to Rick's Barbecue, who actually named this the whisk of unusually small size. Interesting acronym. Thank you for that, Rick. So we're gonna use the wuss again. We're just gonna do this the same simple way that we did before. This is a 2 tablespoon measure. We're gonna put in 4 tablespoons total for the 1 pound. Remember we did 1 tablespoon for the 1 stick that we did last time. I'm going to put my wuss to good use here. All right, now I'm gonna go throw this butter in the warmer so it'll hold at exactly 150 degrees. So when the turkey comes off, we'll be putting 150 degree butter on 150 degree turkey, and hopefully not slow it down and tighten it up at all. We should be pretty close to 150 now, at least at the center. These are looking pretty good, maybe a little dry on top, but let's see what we're doing from a temperature perspective. Okay, so we're not there in some of the other areas here further back. So I'm using my Chef's Temp Final Touch X10 because now I don't want to know the overall temperature. I want to know specifically, have I gotten where I need to be? We're just a couple minutes away. Let's give these a couple more minutes. And by the way, don't those ribs look like they're coming along nicely? Hey, that's a good sign. Juice is running out from where I tempted before. So I'm looking at wherever I go, I'm getting to 150 degrees. Let's go ahead and pull these and get these wrapped. So this one's my number 2. Still have my garlic butter over in the warmer, so we're gonna use phase for this. What was that Cooper told us? A Paula Deen size portion serving of this. So we're just gonna douse this in phase. Looks good, right? All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. We'll give it one last stir with our whisk of unusually small size. Hey, who out there knows what movie that references? The reference to unusual size. Put it in the comments, let me know. This looks very different than that phase going on. I think I got an equally sized portion here though. All right, let's give this a wrap. Let's go get these in the warmer. So the next lesson maybe is the way that I made the glaze. So we noticed when we tasted those ribs that they tasted good, but they didn't have that layered sweetness on top of traditional Texas barbecue flavor profile that the Bar-A-BBQ ribs did. And I think that might be because the way that I made the glaze. So two things. First of all, wasn't really super careful with a couple of the measurements like ketchup. So I'm gonna be more careful. And the second thing is, like, looking at the video, I think that my glaze was thicker than the glaze that Bar-A-BBQ used. And also I went back and looked at the Goldie's video and theirs is really thin as well. So that might be about how it absorbs into the meat while they're wrapped. So I'm gonna try to make it again and then achieve that consistency. So we're starting with 3 cups of ketchup and I'm actually gonna measure them this time. That's 1, that's 2. All right, it's going in. And we're calling that 3 cups. Cup of brown sugar, you remember that's our heavy ingredient, so we're gonna add it now. Cup of white sugar. Just gonna use the rest of this honey. Honey, I shrunk the kids. Honey, I shrunk the ribs. Excuse yourself. Hey, we're gonna add a cup of apple cider vinegar, a cup of water, a cup of white vinegar, a half a cup of
Worcestershire sauce,
and then a tablespoon each of 16 mesh black pepper, granulated garlic, granulated onion, and ground cumin. Now this is the recipe that we had before without thinning it out. Let's see how this turns out consistency-wise. All right, let's see what we got here. I think that's still thicker than what they had at Bar-A. I'm gonna add a little bit more water and see if we can get the consistency of this down. There we go. I think that's what we saw. So let's see if we can use this consistency and see if this will get us what we're looking for. And the last thing is, you might have noticed that Cooper and Caleb had a squeeze bottle that had 3 nozzles. Mine only had 1. Material difference, maybe not. But I bought new squeeze bottles just to be sure, and that should be more than enough. All right, when those ribs are ready to come off, we're prepared. 5.5 hours in, this is what these are supposed to look like. So it's still not coming, breaking, and still not peeling back here. I think these might go 6.5 hours. Now we're running at 250 today instead of 275, so taking a little longer isn't really a shock, but let's go ahead and let them go a little longer. Well, it took us 6.5 hours, but these look like they're there. All right, let's get these wrapped. I think that's what it's supposed to look like. These just look better than the last rack I did. I am optimistic here. Into the warmer we go, where we've got to wait an hour for these. What am I gonna do while we wait?
So did you redeem yourself?
I guess we're gonna find out, right? Hey, if you are new here, you don't know Nick. If you've been around, you know that Nick is the guy who makes all that amazing footage and gets to taste barbecue and is our resident chocolate chip cookie expert and whatnot. So, all right, Nick, 2 questions for the turkey. First is, did I redeem myself? Did I make Bar-A-BBQ's turkey?
Okay.
And the second is, one of these was rested with that phase stuff, and one of them with the garlic butter.
So which one is better, or is there a difference?
Is there a difference? Do we need the phase in order to do it, right?
Okay.
So let's test this one. And you don't know which one's which, right?
I don't think so.
You were, okay.
It looked a lot juicier than the one that you did before.
Yeah. All right. So. Cheers. You guys take that one. All right. Cheers. Oh, yeah.
No comparison.
Yeah,
I mean, it's night and day. That's fantastic.
I'll eat this all day long, and I don't eat turkey
twice
breast.
on Sunday.
Yeah. All right. So let's see what happens when we cut a couple pieces out of here.
All right.
This one's for you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
I like that one a lot better.
That's the garlic butter. So
Now, they're both good. That's definitely juicy. Actually, I think that's a little juicier. Of course, it could have been exactly the piece that I
Right.
was grabbing. So you could tell a little bit difference in the color when you were slicing them.
Yeah.
I didn't know which one was which, but I definitely think that the garlic butter is significantly better.
I'm not turning this away from a
No,
flavor
it was
perspective.
great.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I think this is the Bar-A one. I think this might be a little bit
Yeah,
better
it's-
with the
well, I
garlic
mean,
butter.
you're
So
using gourmet butter with some garlic and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it added to it. That is
no, I'm not
super surprising
serving
to
400
me.
or 500 people every day. I'm not cooking that many,
I
right?
imagine
So
that
like,
would be tough to do that little gimmick right there on the smoker.
yeah,
every time.
but you know, Cooper, if you want to, you can. So I'm gonna eat some more of this and try to save
definitely.
some room for
some pork ribs.
some pork ribs when those come off. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
So you redeemed yourself with a turkey. You made 2 amazing turkeys. Are you going to be able to fulfill the prophecy?
All right. So one thing I'm going to say before we taste these,
Uh-huh.
this looks really good.
It looks better than the other one.
I feel like-
I mean, you're starting from a good place.
I feel like I'm in a good place. I'm a
of
little
course,
sad.
Of
Nick.
course,
Yeah.
if it looks this good and it doesn't taste as good, that's even worse.
Yeah, that's worse. Right? But I'm a little sad
Okay.
because this is what's probably going to be the last Bar-A-BBQ video we make for a while.
I think you got some
I
experimenting.
think we got a little
yeah,
more
I
to
think
come
so.
up with. All right, so maybe it's not the end of the Bar-A content. Tell me what you guys want. You want more Bar-A? You want to see more Goldie's stuff? You want to see
Yeah.
Goldie's meets Bar-A meets Black's
Well,
barbecue?
I mean, what if we put the beef rib seasoning on the pork ribs?
See, that could be
That could be good.
another variation. All right, so you get dibs. Which one are you going for?
All right, I think I'm gonna go for this guy right there.
All right, I'm gonna take the one right next to it so that I have the same flavor. And you guys take this
my
one right
gosh.
next to that.
That's juicy.
It looks, yeah. Cheers. Cheers. I nailed it. I mean, I should wait
don't
for
like
you.
it.
What do you think? Yeah,
I don't like it.
Don't like it?
Nah, it's great.
Are you like Simon Cowell me and say I love it?
It's much better than the last time. The flavor of the glaze is just better on this.
It
one.
is, and you taste the salt and pepper. You
Yeah,
get the Texas
pepper
red,
comes through.
and you get a little bit of the sweetness of the glaze.
Yeah.
All right, redeemed.
Redeem times 2.
There
got
you go. All right, watch this. Show them which one to watch next.
it. Probably there.
Yeah, press that one next, and we'll see you on the next one.